We are back, baby! And I'm in my new office. What are you saying? If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see all of the excitement that I have, which is a bit mad because, yes, I am back in the UK. I am no longer in Australia. What the fucking fuck? Absolute mad couple of weeks. Obviously, the last podcast I did was in Hawaii. I was very emotional in that because I view Australia now as my home, and I feel like it was taken away from me, not for any wrongdoing. The Australian government obviously issue visas. They felt that I had stayed for too long as a tourist, so didn't want to grant me another visa. However, they said go out of the country for a few months and you can come back in as a tourist again, which is exactly what I'm going to do because, again, as I say, I feel like it's my home now. And as I look out the window, it is actually sunny today in the UK, but I'm saying it's sunny, it's still very grey. Anyway, this podcast is going to be basically around the change of my state of mind over the last, I'd say a week, probably. So when I left Australia, I think that a lot of my emotion, my thoughts were surrounded by my mum. Like I was just like, well, and my dad as well, of course, but he was sort of in on the surprise, but surprising my mum. So when I left Oz, I had that massive built up bit of excitement to go to, and yeah, I was like, can't wait. Obviously, the surprise didn't go as planned. I hid away from my parents, but they actually came out behind me. So they, in so facto, they surprised me, surprising them. But loads of tears from us all. It was honestly an unreal moment. And a lot of me is actually glad that I didn't catch it on video because I think that would take away from it. And although I think it's so important, and what I've learned is to take as many photos, videos as you can because it's nice to look back on memories. Ones like that will always live on in my memory. It's like when I came home before and surprised my mum and dad. I'll never forget their reaction, so I don't really need that in a video. Nonetheless, this podcast is literally going to be about the change in my feelings, my emotions over the last week because, as I say, it was masked. A lot of my sadness from Australia was masked by meeting my mum and dad. As soon as, I would say, within 4 to 6 hours after seeing them, then literally I was hit with this. It felt like depression, to be honest. It was horrendous. The first few days of being in Hawaii, I wasn't getting out of bed until about 1 in the afternoon. I tried to blame jet lag for that, but I know it was just I didn't want to. I wasn't interested in what was going on outside because I wasn't where I wanted to be. And then now, a week later, my whole mindset has shifted, and that is what I want to really talk about because people think that it's huge acts that need to happen for your happiness to change or your mindset to change, when the truth is no, it doesn't. It just needs to be how you look at a situation. When I left Australia, I was sad, I was angry because I didn't want to do it, but the reality is it's 3 months. Like, time goes by so quickly, and obviously every year you get older, a year is less time in your life, so every year feels quicker. So 3 months is going to fly by, and if anything, getting kicked out of Australia has made me think, okay, well, that's where I want to live now. There is no if, buts or maybes. I think that's where I want my base to be. I've still got lots of travelling to do, but without the final push from Oz or coming back home, it didn't make me, it's made me realise, I should say, how much I love Australia. How much I love my lifestyle in Sydney, going down to Bondi. This year I did barely any sunrises at Bondi. And now, when I get back there, oh my God, I'm going to be hugging the sand because you don't know what you've got until it's gone. And I think that's the key. I think any situation you go through in life, like I will always say that me going through my battles with mental health, waking up most mornings hoping that I died in my sleep because I didn't want to commit suicide, but I didn't want to be here anymore. All of that that's the way I look at that now. I don't look at that as a shit period in my life. I look at it as a defining moment in my life where I would not change that for the world, because without going through that, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have gone to Australia. I wouldn't have set up my business. I wouldn't have done all of these things. And I think that there's a cringe saying, but it's so true. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you deal with it. So the reality was, last week, the way I was dealing with leaving Oz was not a good way at all. As I say, I had all of these negative emotions flooding my brain, and I went into a bit of a spiral. I was like, without Australia, I can't do my podcast, I can't do my job, Like, I was just going on for ages with all of these negative thoughts that the reality is I was creating these problems in my head. Whereas I've gone to Hawaii, and if you know me or you followed me for a while or you listened to the pod for a while, you'll know that I work like a dog with two dicks, and I've been doing that for almost 2.5 years flat now, without really any. I've had holidays, but what I would consider a break or a holiday now is going away on my own, or say in that environment with my family, and just chilling out, switching off, not doing anything. So I was very fortunate to have that opportunity, and I didn't realise how much I needed to have that break. So yeah, it's my mindset has completely shifted. Now it is look, I've got 3 months here, got 3 months to enjoy the time that I've spent with the people that I love so much in my life, that for 27 years of my life, they were my life. And now I'm lucky enough to have the opportunity to spend time at home with them. I can get stuck into work. As you can see, I've got a pretty gnarly little office set up already. And I've got the buzz back. I feel like 2022 had been a very difficult year with the passing of my nan. Didn't get kicked out. My lease ended on my flat. Visa issues and other issues within the family, which I don't really want to talk about. It had been a hard year, and just having this hard reset, now I feel unbelievable. Like, in my mind, in my body, I feel so much more creative. I feel just buzzed and excited for the future. So you can hear the difference in the podcasts from this week, and if you even just watch a little clip from not last week, was it last week? It was last week. It's mental, and that's what I want you to know as well. Your mindset can change so quickly if you just change the way you view a situation. So now, rather than being like, fuck's sake, I'm spending 3 months out of Australia, my mindset is, I've got 3 months to enjoy this time in the UK before going back home. And I will do that. I will live that, because, again, another cringe saying, but it's so true. Like, happiness is where you are. So if I'm placing all of my happiness in Australia, I'm going to be a miserable fuck. Whereas if I'm saying right now, this is where I am, I'm going to make the best out of this situation, and I'm going to be happy right here, that's what will happen. And that's what you can do too. So I think that's enough bars spat today. I feel like I've spoke at 1,000 miles an hour, but I've just got this overwhelming energy, even though at the moment I'm sleeping about 2 hours a night. So maybe there's like a little bit of delirious nature going on as well. But yeah, I'm very jet lagged, but still, I am now happy to be home, excited to get my nut down over the next 3 months and plan a few trips, see a few people, and yeah, it's all exciting stuff. So the podcast will be coming thick and fast. If you liked this episode, if you enjoyed it, if you're watching it on YouTube, please do like, subscribe and share, because I want to affect millions of people's mental health. I want to improve their mental health. I want to show them that you can get through it, and honestly, just changing the way you look at certain situations will change your life. It did for me. I was so close to taking mine, and now look, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, same again, like, share, give it a 5-star rating, because the higher the rating, the more people listen, the more production I can put into the podcast, because this is all this is for me. Anything that I make from the podcast goes back into the podcast. So, yes sir, hope you've enjoyed. Much love. I'll catch you next week, and might be a life update, might be something interesting that I've learned. I don't know yet, I'll decide on the day. Anyway, have a cracking one, and I'll catch you in a week.